Hi, I'd like to personally welcome you to Week 4 of the NFL season. We got the Green Bay Packers hosting those Detroit Lions, the same Detroit Lions who ended Green Bay's season during the final week of the year, final game of the year, Sunday Night Football. Rodgers' last game in Green Bay. Detroit went there, won it. Started this year with a win on the road against Kansas City. Detroit looking pretty good, but how good exactly? I saw them lose Week 2 to Seattle. And don't tell me Seattle's a juggernaut out there. They lost to the Rams Week 1 and were in a close game against Carolina and Andy Dalton, who couldn't win with Dallas's pretty stacked roster a couple of years back. And that was a close game. So I still think Detroit, it's not like, oh yeah, 1.5, Detroit, they're just going to march right on in there. How many wins does Detroit have in the last however many years in Green Bay? Yeah, I know there was that one to end the year last year. What about before that? I don't know if they're just going to be waltzing into Green Bay winning, especially if you have the top running back and the top wide receiver returning for the Packers. But I will be honest with you, which I always am. Last Thursday, that's Shanahan. I'm telling you, this is one of my favorite bets. When we went down the board, we were raking. Then Monday, a couple of situations that I also like. A.J. Brown, Week 1 and 2 mediocrity equal Week 3 studs. I believe we hit the Goddard over. Did I even mention the guy? I think I mentioned the Goddard over. We had a same-game parlay with Brown and the Eagles to win by 2.5. I know they ended up crushing. That was just to be safe. But in the later game, Higbee, the over on Kyren Williams receiving yards. I didn't know what it was, and that's a theme that I guess we're going to have to get used to because I don't know what a lot of the lines are tonight because they won't release them because of injury statuses with a couple of players. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is Thursday was great, Monday was great, Sunday a little rusty, but I don't mind a winning sandwich with bookended by solid picks, and we'll look to do that again, but this is not some matchup that it's a 1.5 point spread. And if you're going to tell me confidently, oh yeah, Detroit's going to win. What do you mean? Did you see last week? Close with Atlanta halfway through. The same Atlanta that blew a multiple touchdown lead against Green Bay. Detroit lost to second straight year, I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, at home against Seattle, who had lost to the Rams the previous week. So I don't exactly know how good either of these teams are because Green Bay was down by quite a few. Would they still have won the game if Carr was playing for? And now look, we all know I think Carr is the loser, but still they had 0 points at home through like 3/4 of that game. I still don't know about both of these teams. I'll do the best I can to sniff a couple of bets, some of my favorite things, but a lot of those bets are kind of related to those players that we're still waiting on final word for. By the time you see this, hopefully you have that information. Hopefully those lines are out. One line that's definitely out is the line from BetMGM that they're giving you early in the season, where you go there, you bet 10. If you're a new user on the platform, you'll get $200 in free bet credits to use on everything. Bet 10, get 200 over at BetMGM. You just got to be a new user and don't be a degenerate, because if you do, you're going to have to call 1-800-GAMBLER because you have a gambling problem. Now, in this game, when you're not too sure where you want to go because you're not too sure of specific situations with some of those players, where do you go? You go over to OddsShopper Premium. Now, what did I do on Sunday? I gave you a little peek behind the Wizard of Oz curtain to look at my favorite pick from there, and that was the Jerome Ford over 10.5 receiving yards. We smacked that one really quickly. That was an easy hit. I really like their under 3.5 catches on Luke Musgrave for a couple of different reasons. Number one, for whatever odd reason, Jordan Love keeps missing him when he's open. He's had a couple of overthrows headed towards Musgrave. Musgrave has actually looked pretty good. But more importantly, we're pretty certain Watson's coming back in this game. So that's their number one receiver coming back. So now that's the targets being divvied up even further. On top of that, especially if you have Aaron Jones coming back, we know how great of a receiver he is out of the backfield. So now you're adding 2 major pass catchers, and yes, Jones is one of those, to the target combos. I don't think there will be enough there to get him to 4 catches. So I will take the under 3.5. Approved by none other than OddsShopper Premium. Now, something that I'm going to go to, and I don't want you to scoff, because on Sunday it was one of my favorite plays, and it was hard to foresee Jahmyr Gibbs' lack of passing game use, because if you looked at games 1 and 2, it was exclusively passing game use. And then they did something that you don't typically see out of Detroit. The majority of people, the consensus was, oh, they're going to use Reynolds in the Montgomery role, and Gibbs is going to continue doing what he's doing with a couple more touches, up the middle and whatnot as a traditional running back. They use Gibbs as a traditional running back, and turns out that wasn't the best use of him. But with Montgomery likely coming back, or at least they say, if they return to what they were doing beforehand in weeks 1 and 2, I'm looking for that Jahmyr Gibbs use in the passing game. Once again, they have Amon-Ra St. Brown. Yes, they have Laporta, who's good, but as far as dynamic playmakers, even St. Brown, who's an incredible receiver, he's not beating anyone down the sideline, down the field. That's Gibbs. He's their one electric player like that. I imagine they're going to get him a couple of chances to do it. So I will take the over on Jahmyr Gibbs' receiving yards, despite the fact that I don't even know what it is. I do not know what it is. Now, on Monday, I gave you a same-game parlay that I liked. We took the over on A.J. Brown receiving yards. I believe we took over 69.5. And then we took the Eagles minus 2.5. I'm going to do something a little similar. You guys kind of know my in-division philosophy. I want the home team getting more than a field goal if I can. Home team plus points division matchup. I typically like that. I know it hasn't worked out every single time, but I want the Packers in a same-game parlay at plus 3.5, and give me one of the most reliable targets in the entire NFL in Amon-Ra St. Brown. Give me the over 59.5. You put both of those together, that's a plus money parlay. If you need to take him at 69.5, you can do it, but I would feel a whole hell of a lot better in case it's one of those games that they can contain him. And before you go wild on Laporta after his big game, don't be so sure if he comes back to earth. I wouldn't be surprised if it's so weird. So many things slot in. Like if Montgomery's there and Gibbs is getting receptions out of the backfield, in addition to St. Brown out there, I don't think Laporta hits his over on receptions. But if Gibbs is playing that weird role that he played last week, and there are more targets to go around, and those short to intermediate ones go to Laporta, I don't know. But if Montgomery is active and healthy, I would kind of take the under on Laporta receptions. But that would be my least favorite of the bunch. This is a difficult game to try to figure out. I don't know if either of these teams are that good. I haven't been that impressed. I was impressed with the Lions night 1, but since then, it's erased my how impressed that I was. And then the flip side, I really don't know what I'm supposed to think about the Packers. After blowing a multiple touchdown lead, they trailed 14-0, 17, something like that, to New Orleans through 3 quarters, and then they came back, which is admirable. So I still don't know enough. I do know that my gut still doesn't trust Jordan Love. I know the stats. I know they look good, but he's missing a whole hell of a lot of throws, and things have kind of broke the right way where they were still close enough. Carr gets injured. A bunch of stuff happened that have kept the Packers in some of these games. Maybe they have a breakout, especially if Jones and Watson come back. Very tough to figure out, but that is what I have for you. I could say other things, but do you want me just saying stuff or giving you the things that I think are the best? Many of you guys have messaged me saying, oh, well, how did you come up? What made you pick those things? You sniff the good ones and stay away from the bad ones. And I will address that Broncos debacle tomorrow on Francis and Friends. Check it out. It will be late afternoon, usually airs, in between 3, 4, 5, something like that. A little bit of comedy and some sniffs heading into the weekend. I'll have a couple of guests. The first couple of episodes have been great and enjoyable. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying them. I will see you then. Good luck to all of you. Make sure you subscribe to the channel here and follow me on social media. It's @Andy Francis on all platforms. Take it easy. Have a good one and good luck.